Just the way she described it, she's like, "Oh, big fan of you guys. You know, Trybez, you're always like, you look so cool all the time, and especially in the music videos. But D, you're like goofy."
Oh, good. How are you?
Good, man.
We're good. We're just wrapping up the Red Future tour, you know. So, like you said earlier, we're about to go to New York. So
You going to New York after this? Is where you going?
Going to New York after this, and then we finish our tour off in Toronto here at the Opera House.
How's it been going?
Super excited. It's been incredible.
Yeah.
It's been a long 3 months on the road though, so it's been definitely like very heavy tour.
Yeah.
But amazing experience. Nice to see our crowds like double in size in different places, and just it's been a good experience for us.
Yeah, and we all like. This is like the first time too, like where we actually really took care of our bodies going into tour, like making sure our fitness level is good, like working out, going for runs, eating properly. You know what I mean? Because the show we do, it runs like an hour and a half. That's a long time to be on stage.
It's active too. You guys
especially
are
rapping.
active.
We're hype. We're moving everywhere. By the time I know, like when I walk off stage, I'm just drenched. Yeah, you know. So
and
it's good though. It's good. Though.
As you get older, I'll tell you this: it's harder to do that. It's harder to do that. I get you.
I've never really been tired at the end of a tour, but I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it a little, you know.
You know why that is? Because we're all getting older. Let's take a listen to some of the record. Take a listen to this.
Look at your reflection, tell me what you see. Your future's in the mirror, nothing coming in between us. Now I'm praying on my knees for my nephews and my nieces. Man, we always had the vision, you're the ones who wouldn't see. We're the ground movers, earth shakers, no savior. While they're praying on us, we've been building something great. And if we never meet again, let me do you one favor. Let me pray for you, you a gift from creator.
Can I just say the hustle never stops, because while we were playing that clip, they both took out their phones and made content.
Hey, if you're committed, you're committed.
That's Red Future from the record. I want to talk a little bit about Indigenous Futurism. What is Red Future?
Red Future. I think that Red Future to us it just means being able to see yourself in the future. For Indigenous people, when you think about the future, you think about, like a lot of people think about themselves. You know, they put themselves before anything else. Mm-hmm. But for Native people, you'll have to think 7 generations down the line. You got to think about like your lineage. You got to think about like who's coming next after you. You got to make sure that the land is taken care of so it can take care of your people. And I think that sometime since we've been colonized, a lot of that's been lost. I think Indigenous Futurism is being able to see yourself in the future. So for us, it's being able to see our people in the future. And no matter what aspect of life that is, whether it's arts, whether it's like film, whether it's doing media like this, whether it's music, sports, whatever, we think it's really important for our people to be able to see themselves in those shoes, in those places.
Yeah, not just now, but like in the future.
Yeah,
like because a lot of the record is about here's what will come. Yeah. Here's what we need coming forward.
Yeah, it's not about how far we came, it's about how far we can go.
Yeah.
And whatever it is that we do or decide to do, like music is always first and foremost.
Yeah.
But whatever other lane we decide to do, and just to show them like, hey, this can be done.
Yeah.
And, you know, our goal is to make sure that when it's time they carry the torch, that they take it twice as further as we ever did it.
Our goal for us has always been to like break down barriers, kick doors down for the next generation coming after us. You know, like we struggled so that the people coming up after us can have it a little easier, you know, and like have the shine be on them. And I think that like when you think about Indigenous Futurism, you think about Indigenous excellence, and right now the world is watching us. So I think that this album, it had a life of its own in the creation process of it. It was 4 years in the making, like conceptualizing it and putting it all together. It took us 4 years and 3 different albums to be able to get to where we're at right now.
What do you mean by that? It took those albums to get to here.
So it took Life After. It took I'm Good, How About You?
Yeah.
It took
Born
Deadly. You know, and when we were making Trapline, that's when the concept kind of came to us. And we're like, oh, the next album's going to be Red Future. But it took experience. It took life lessons. It took just different things that we went through for us to be like okay with putting Red Future out.
I'd love to hear the story when you were making Trapline and all of a sudden you have this idea of what the next record needs to be, and that it needs to be about Indigenous Futurism and it needs to be about the future.
Yeah, it started, I'll probably say in the summer of 2018. Like, we've been writing heavy with Trapline we're on the verge of coming out here to record, and it was like one of the times where we're writing like one of the last songs. I think it was Yuck Su Yuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Yuck Su Yuck, and that's when the idea first kind of spawned for Red Future, because what we wanted to do, we wanted to make like a trilogy for like the Average Savage, Trapline, the Red Future. And coming out of 2019, you know, we toured damn near everywhere. It felt like 100 plus shows. And we had all this momentum going into 2020, and then, you know, COVID hit.
I remember.
The whole world shut down, and like everything for us just came to a halt.
Yeah.
Just like with everybody else. And, you know, stuff came up in that pandemic that everybody, including ourselves, had to deal with, and that's how Life After happened. And like after Life After, we were able to clear that much more headspace to allow us to create I'm Good, How About You? And from I'm Good, How About You, that's when we kind of really started to figure it out. Writing, recording, whatever it may be. So when Red Future came along and we started those sessions, yeah, we just hit a creative groove that we'd never really been in before. Like, we got our own studio space. It's like our office we go to. I'm in there 5 days a week. He was in there 6-7 days a week, you know, and we got to a point where we were doing a song a day, you know, and
Like start to finish too.
yeah.
But like you were saying,
a song a day.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I think we have like almost 60 demos that we cut for Red Future, and you know, only 16 made it. But yeah, just to like come back to Trapline, you know, like Trapline was very empowering for us. It made us realize what we were capable of, and not only in like the creation process of it, but also like what came after that, and like realizing that we were able to fill buildings with our fans and able to tour the world. You know, we went to Australia, we went to Mexico, we did North America. So like, it just showed us what we're capable of if we put our minds to it. And I think that Red Future came from that, and it was able to see ourselves 10 years down the line, 5 years down the line, 30, 50, 100 years down the line. And that's kind of where the concept came from it. And when you think about it, like we made I'm Good, or sorry, not I'm Good. We made The Average Savage, and it was just about our childhood and like all the shit that we went through.
Yeah.
And realizing that going from The Average Savage to Trapline, and then understanding the power that you carry, it was like really important, and it was a transformation for us.
Yeah.
So realizing that we had that power within ourselves, we wanted to show the world that you're capable of it too, and that's what Red Future is.
I hear you on that, because you're right. When I first met you guys, it was just kind of, you were kind of like, here we are. Like, this is me. Look what we did. We're doing this thing. This is cool. Everyone dug it. We all really dug it. And if I'm hearing you correctly, as the years go by, you start to realize, oh, we're actually having some impact here.
Yeah.
Oh, we're kind of changing things a little bit here. Yeah. We're kind of breaking some ground here. This is. In addition to the Red Future part, though, there's another sort of theme on this record I was noticing, which is sort of like matriarchy. Like, there's a lot of like, you see a pregnant woman on the cover. Tia Wood's talking right off the top about, you know, matriarchs, sisters and mothers and grandmothers. This comes up over and over and over again on the record, talking about the importance of women too. Was that something you were thinking about too?
For sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And that's just like the way a lot of us were raised, you know what I mean? Is like, especially us, like the matriarchs are the backbone of our communities and our families. You think about like where like our moms get it from, they get it from our grandmas and so on and so forth, and more or less what they say goes. You know what I mean? So we just have that mentality, and we just really wanted to showcase all culture on the West Coast.
Yeah, and we were also like all raised by women too, you know, like you know, I was adopted at a very young age, and the family that I came into, like my mom's side of the family, is all women, and they all have motherly instincts. So they took care of me like I was their own, each and every one of them. So I had like 5 different homes growing up, you know. So that's always important to us to kind of like showcase on records that we put out.
When you're rapping about a matriarch, who's the first person that comes to mind?
My mom, for sure.
Yeah,
Nancy, for sure. Yeah. She was definitely the matriarch of our family, and she like made sure that everybody felt like she was they were their offspring, I guess. My mom's.
Yeah.
But
For me, it was a mix of my mom and my gran.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my gran is like one of the last few Heisler speakers in our res back home, you know, and just like his mom just made sure everybody was fed, make sure everybody was taken care of, the open door policy, you know, and treated so many like they were her own.
And that was 5 years ago during Trapline. when we were doing the skits for Trapline, we sat down with her for the day and just really like got to knowing a different side of Kay than that we've ever known. And we found out that she was one of 6 fluent speakers left in our community, and that was 5 years ago. So
Yeah,
it's way less now.
But since then, like, there's been like a resurgence in like the language in the program, and like my sister has actually been leading it too, like my little sister. And yeah, if there's anything I ever want to learn or I want to say, I just hit up my sister and like, yo, how do you say this?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been putting in like years of work on that. And
Leading the way.
It's starting to show.
When I was doing the introduction and I said the Snotty Nose Rez Kids have done something really tough, which is talk about really important, really important things, politically, culturally, regarding colonization, regarding our current political situation, regarding the true history of the country. And then I said, but the hard thing they do is they do it in a way that still makes it kind of fun, that makes it kind of funny. And I saw you guys actually do a fist bump with one another. Should I read something into that? Like, is that something that's intentional with you?
It was the silly line.
But is that something that's meaningful to you, that it's silly and this?
Yeah, no, it's just funny because we were in Detroit last week.
Yeah.
And it's the first time we had like meet and greets on tour and stuff like that. So we met this older woman, and just the way she described it, she's like, "Oh, big fan of you guys. You know, Trybez, you're always like, you look so cool all the time, and especially in the music videos. But D, you're like goofy."
Oh, good.
I'm like,
yeah.
All right.
That's what you wanted.
You meant that with good intent.
Yeah.
But also like it's funny that you said that, because it makes so much sense to us, because like with Snotty Nose Rez Kids, like we touch on some very heavy subject matter.
And on this record especially.
Yeah, but also at the same time we make it digestible for anybody. You don't have to come from the same background. It can mean something to you in a different way. It can be a learning tool. So a lot of, like, when we talk about Red Future for people, it can be a healing tool or a learning tool. Depends on what background you're coming from. And I think that's really important when it comes to making music, is making it relatable to more than just like one group of people. And especially for us, because we're trying to like grow as like artists as well. But yeah, I think that it made a lot of sense, because like when we made the name Snotty Nose Rez Kids, it's like, yeah, we're talking about this crazy shit, but at the same time, we don't want people to take us too seriously.
Yeah, that's
because
always
there's
been
some
the
funny.
vibe.
Yeah, there's some like, we like to laugh too.
Yeah.
We don't take ourselves too seriously either.
Yeah. Like, for example, when we makes records, like you hear like the very first record, Welcome to My World.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's heavy. It's like, yo, this is the reality check. But what we love to do and like to try to do is to, yes, we may talk about these topics that may be heavy, but we want to steer it to where you kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you still feel good after listening to it.
Yeah.
It's like you listen to his verse, he comes out the gate swinging, you know what I mean?
Yeah, especially on this record.
Laying it down.
And then I come in right after that, and then we end off with Tia.
Yeah.
And every time I hear that scream, that Red Future, I get like goosebumps, you know what I mean? And I get pumped up from that. I'm like, okay, yeah, let's go. So like we love to do that on the records.
I want to talk a bit more about the collaborations on this record. Can we take a listen to this?
I done seen the future and it's brown and red. I just burned some sweet grass around my pretty little head. My bros from the Rez and I'm from the projects. Snotty Nose and Princess, will it only make sense? I'm not sure.
Snotty Nose Rez Kids, their song Peaches, featuring the New York rapper Princess Nokia. Talk to me a little bit about who you wanted to have on this record, because my understanding is a lot of people will choose features based on star power. Who's the most famous person I can get? I'll get their numbers. I'll get on their Spotify. It'll help me, blah, 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 blah. My understanding is when you were choosing who you wanted to have features on this record and who wanted to be part of it, it was about something deeper. It was more about relationships. Talk to me a little bit about that.
I think that the thing for us when it comes to features is like we never use contacts. We always use connections. Like it's never like people that that we don't know linked in through like a third party. It's always people that we met along the way. And for us, I think there's a lot of beauty in that, because that's how like we go about our lives. Connection with different people is very important to us. So I think that when making Red Future, we always talk about bringing up the next generation. We always talk about bringing up our peers with us, and just like, if we have shine, you got shine. Yeah. So it was really important for us to have Indigenous people on this record, and being the only features that we have. So all the features that we have on this record are people that we've been talking to over the last since Trapline, to be honest. Jeremy Dutcher, we've been talking to Jeremy since Trapline. He was supposed to be on Trapline, and Electric Fields. We met Electric Fields down at a festival we played at in Australia years ago, like 5 years ago, and then it finally came full circle. But I think our biggest our bucket list feature was Princess Nokia, and that was a tough one for us to get. But it was also through meeting her at a Toronto festival here a couple years ago, and we just built a connection with her, and it just made a lot of sense for us.
Yeah, a lot of these features that we have, the relationships are just organic. It's just we just cross paths at a certain time. It's the same thing that happened with Travis Thompson. You know, that was another bucket list feature for us, right up there with Princess Nokia. And we met at Gathering of Nations like 2 years ago out in Albuquerque. And yeah, we just built up a steady relationship. Mm-hmm. When the time came, Seattle's not that far from Vancouver, so he drove up for the day, and yeah, he just walked in and killed it.
He also toured with us a lot, and I know for a fact that we've put a lot of people onto Travis Thompson that we worked with along the way. Mm-hmm. And all the artists that are on this record, we respect their art and we love their artistry. Yeah. So that's why they're on Red Future, because they mean something to us.
Well, that was the question I had, is like, what do you see in these artists that you think the rest of the world should see?
Yeah, I see the fact that we all come from like a similar place, but we all have different perspectives on the way that we look at the world. And I just like same thing with Trapline. You know, we brought in artists that we wanted to hear their perspectives on how they view this record and what Indigenous Futurism means to them. And I don't think that any other artist would have made sense like the people that are on this record do.
I'm struck by what you said when you were talking to me a little bit earlier about how, hey, you know, like the world was really different when we started out. Like, especially in terms of Indigenous hip hop, like I guess my question, and there's a lot of that. There's a lot on there. As much as there's a lot of future on the record, mm-hmm. there's also a fair bit of like, look how far we come, look where we are mm-hmm. right now. As you said earlier, like look at the spotlight that's on mm-hmm. us right now. Like, this might be a silly question, but like, are there more Indigenous artists to collaborate with now in hip hop than when you first started rapping?
For sure,
absolutely. Like when we were coming up, or when we first started, it was very few. You know what I mean? And even like late 2010s, mid 2010s, that's when like it slowly, social media started to pop for artists. You know what I mean? And yes, slowly but surely, like people would reach out to us. But like if you look at our past albums, the features are very like minimal. Yeah. It's because we just didn't. There's not to say that they weren't out there, but we just didn't know.
The ones that were out there though, we did collaborate with. Yeah. So it just goes to show there wasn't a lot of people that were like popping like that at that time. But like right now, I think the doors are opening and people are kind of like just being comfortable with themselves and able to collaborate with different artists. And whereas there was a lot of like it was like dog eat dog back then, you know, there wasn't a lot of like openness to like opening to people you didn't know. Yeah. Whereas now it just kind of seems like people are more comfortable with themselves to be able to do that.
To me, it just sounds harder when you guys started out. Like it sounded harder when you guys got going, right?
It definitely was. People weren't looking at us the way that they do now, you know, like, you know, you got artists like Asanabi, you got artists like Jeremy Dutcher, you got us, Tribe Called Red, you know, you got people are open to seeing what we have to say now. Whereas when we first started, it wasn't so much like that.
No, it was the exact opposite.
Is that so? It was the exact opposite?
It was like,
in my opinion,
it was like people would say to us, like, who the fuck you think you are trying to rap?
Yeah, really?
Like, oh, you some natives trying to rap? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know, for us, we just kept building. As hard as it was, as tough as it was, I'm glad we went through that because it built our character. Yeah. And it let us know, like, whatever gets thrown our way, we could conquer it and come out even bigger, better, and stronger.
And it wasn't just like the industry or the outside world, outside of our communities. Even our own communities didn't really give, like, you know, artists like us that were doing what we were doing the time of day until you open their eyes to what is possible and what we're capable of.
So what kept you going?
Me and him, just us together.
Just one another, man.
Just like, the vision that we had, and just the determination that we had, and just like we always seen ourselves being able to do this, be here right now, you know? Mm-hmm. And we just believed in one another and believed in ourselves. And I think that we were able to set goals, short-term goals, before long-term goals. And if we could reach that, then we could keep going. And I think that when we like got nominated for Juno on our second album, like that was like easy.
Yeah.
You know, and like people started paying attention after The Average Savage, and we knew that wasn't going to be our best project, but like we just wanted to prove to everyone that we got more, we got more, we got more, we got more.
I remember like a lot of reviewers or critics, whatever, they write their opinions on whatever, and every single Polaris, somebody was just like, oh, I don't know how they're going to top Average Savage. Oh, I don't know how they're going to top Trapline. Oh, I don't know how they're going to top Life After, so on and so forth. It's like every project. And that just lights a fire in their ass, you know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, watch this.
Yeah,
Like we're not even close to our peak yet.
Yeah, it's also it's comes from a good place. It's a compliment, but it's a backhanded compliment in our eyes because we know what we're capable of.
This is all starting to make sense because I was wondering why you've been calling this record your magnum opus. I wanted to know why you were referring to it that way.
Yeah, it's just like it's the greatest thing we've made to this date. It's something that, just like every other album, we poured our heart and soul into. But like I said earlier, this is like the record where we truly kind of figured it out as far as writing goes, knowing how to get the best out of him and vice versa. He knows how to get the best out of me. We had no egos. We checked that at the door. And it's just like, if we told each other, hey, I think it could be better, it's not like, oh, fuck you know what I mean? Like, it's like, all right, let me go back to the drawing board.
That's hard
Like,
to do.
let me go back to the drawing board and let's make this better.
It's
you know
really
what I mean?
checking your ego at the door.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, it was a concept that it kind of like was on the back burner for so many years. So the concept of Red Future kept growing and growing and growing and just evolving into what it had become. And I'm glad that we did it when we did, because if we did it right after Trapline, I don't think it would have became what it is to us. And I think that's with a lot of comes with a lot of evolution of us as artists and just being able to be comfortable with what we do. So yeah, I'm glad that it is what it is, but moving forward is just gonna be a little different in my opinion. You know, it's not like Red Future was what we were building towards for the last 5 years. So I don't know. We'll see what's next, but Red Future is our baby.
As I said to you when you came in, it's the best record you guys made.
Yeah.
It's really, really excellent.
Thank you.
We want to end things off with a rapid fire game, all related to this new album. Questions all related to things you can hear rapped about on Red Future. Ready?
Let's go.
I'll go one by one. Favorite Limp Bizkit song?
Rolling.
I don't know. Break stuff. You know what time it is.
Break stuff is pretty good too.
Yeah, Sam.
Rolling?
Yeah.
I can't say my favorite. Can I say my favorite on the air?
Yeah.
But it's a bad word. I like Nookie. I do. I like Nookie a lot. Favorite Clint Eastwood movie?
Ooh. Favorite Clint
I'm
Eastwood
gonna leave that one for you, bro.
We'll do a collective answer on this one. We'll do it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Damn, there's so many. Last one I seen. It's been a while since I seen one.
He shows up on the record.
Hey, yeah. You sound like LeBron right now, bro.
LeBron on page 1. Probably $1 Million Baby.
$1 Million Baby.
Yeah.
Got it. I'm not going to give it to you. You don't want it.
Yeah, no.
First word you say when you think of Eazy-E?
Ruthless.
Cruising down the street in my 6'4".
Yeah, I love it so much.
My bad.
Best Charlie Brown character, aka best Peanuts character?
Snoopy.
Oh, Snoopy, hands down.
That was crazy how
Hands
quickly you
down.
said that.
Snoopy.
I like that little yellow bird thing.
You know,
Woodstock.
No Dogs Allowed was written because of a Snoopy skit.
Tell me.
Yeah, it's Snoopy, no dogs allowed. And they were just always the outcasts. They were never allowed on the bus. They weren't allowed in the museum. So No Dogs Allowed was just reclaiming spaces that we were not allowed in and not allowed to be a part of.
No way.
And that includes the music scene. Yeah, so No Dogs Allowed was written because of Snoopy.
Yeah, we really wanted to throw that sample in there, but you know how it is with samples.
Listen, do I ever. And last but not least, Goonies Never Say?
Die.
Got it. Snotty Nose Rez Kids' new album, Red Future, is out now. You can stream it or buy it wherever you get your music. It's the best record you guys have made. Congratulations.
I appreciate you, man.
Go
Thank you.
get on your flight.
Yeah.
All right.